first one is the process of planning hospitals in Ontario. So I'm hoping you can walk us through this slide and just give a little bit of description of what it means.
Yeah, I can. So, I mean, I'm most familiar with the early parts, the number one, the early planning. But essentially, in the history of hospital building in Ontario, it takes about 10 years from saying, I think we should start planning a hospital to it being built and opened, right? So it's a long process. There's multiple steps in the way. So the diagram at the bottom of this exhibit here either is produced by the Ministry of Health or an adaptation of the Ministry of Health's material. But you start off by thinking about a pre-capital. So you have to apply always to the ministry, and they'll give for grants and things like that. But the pre-capital says, well, this is the current state of our facility. This is the current state of our services. These are the pressures we're facing. This is anticipated growth. We need to start planning or we're going to be in trouble, essentially. That's what that is. When you submit that, the ministry will look at it, and then they may say, we'll give you a planning grant. So they'll actually give you some funds to do a full development proposal. And it's called the stage 1.2. So that's where you do the master plan and master program. Those are terms that are familiar to architects and other municipal planners and that kind of thing. That's where we start to do saying, well, again, it's more detailed now, but we look at the state of the facility. The architects and engineers do that. So can the facility handle growth? Can you add a wing on somewhere? Can you add floors above? Can you extend out and move the parking and that kind of thing? But that's the work that we do at that stage, is to look at, again, the services the hospital provides today, the needs of its population, where there needs to be any changes in the services provided to better meet the needs, and what is the forecast for future services and resources based on the future needs of the population, but also under the assumption of an efficient operating model. So you submit all of that, and it ends up being a very enormous report with a lot of data. And then the next part would be under stage 1.3. It's called the functional program, where you come back and actually start to lay out what the hospital is going to be like, what different services will go where, how big they'll need to be, like where is the DI department going to be in relation to the ED, where all the inpatient units, how it's all going to lay out, and very specifically working about sort of how things will flow through the hospital to get early designs. And the architects also produce a very detailed design of the potential construction or redevelopment that would happen. And then you keep getting further on into like step 2 here, the orange phase and the green phase, where you go into more and more planning, and the construction firms get involved and actually build the hospital, and then you get to post-occupancy. And as I mentioned, the steps 1, 2, and 3 here, on average, take 10 years.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And as you mentioned previously, this is the process that all hospitals in Ontario undergo, and this is standardized across the board, correct?
Absolutely, yes, yeah, that's right. And it all has to get submitted to the Ministry of Health. They have they're called the Capital Branch, Hospitals Capital Branch, and they review everything all the way through here. Later on, Infrastructure Ontario gets involved as well, and it's every hospital has to go through this and follow the same process and have the same negotiations and discussions with the ministry.
Okay, thank
And
you.
this also the plans that, by the way, have to go through Treasury Board as well. Right? The cost estimates have to go through Treasury Board and then get approved there.
Right. So lots of reviews and approvals in this process.